what I'm gonna say whenever I do intros, so I don't remember what I was gonna say, but I was gonna say something. We're gonna do a little two-parter, just short video here. Part one, I'm gonna tour you around the enclosure that you're in right now, because I haven't featured that one, and I figure why not. Part two is where I'm gonna introduce the animals that I brought back from Tinley. So part one, here we go. So this is Matilda's upgraded enclosure. Matilda is my male American toad, Anaxyrus americanus. He's massive and hungry, and he got his own big place as a nice upgrade. This is a custom background that I did with, you know, sculpture-y bits, as you can probably tell. I haven't decided if I like it or not, but it's a thing, it exists. So we've got this statue that is dabbing, obviously. We've got this guy over here, who's just kind of stoically holding up the sky. And then we've got this guy here, who's holding up the ledge. And it all started with that as just an idea, and I wanted to make it into an enclosure, and so this was born. So let me know what you guys think of it. I haven't yet decided if I like it or not, but it exists and it's a thing. So there's Matilda, that's his current favorite spot. We've got his water dish over here. We've got a hide, some ferns. We've got some sort of, I think it's a type of ficus, maybe. Focus camera. We have dirt. We have a free mushroom decor item that I found. We've got cork. We've got rattlesnake plant. That's a type of other fern. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know what else to say about it. It is bioactive, so it's both live planted and it has cleanup crew. I did dwarf white isopods. I attempted powder oranges, but he just decimates the populations because he's a hungry, hungry hippo. Are you gonna come and attack me? Do it, I dare you. Come at me, punk. Come at me. This boy's always wanting to fight. Just occurred to me that I should probably talk about how I made it, because that's not something you see every day. So I started with wire armature that I put, is I guess part wire armature and part foam board. So I would make like a long rectangle and armature it to another long rectangle and then add like another smaller little rectangle, and then that was a hand, and then I would carve it from there to get a little bit more of a shape. So I did that for the main structure of him, and then I used expanding foam to lock the joints together. So I just foamed the joints and then carved that to be smooth. It was overall, the process I think was doing too much. I think there's probably a much easier way to do this that would be sturdier, but this was an experiment. It started with this. I didn't even know if it was going to be an enclosure yet. So anyway, so I did that. And then once I had the actual structure that I liked, I grouted the whole thing with, I think it was a poly sand grout, which turned out to be a mistake. I don't think I would use that stuff again, at least not with foam, because the poly grout is actually pretty flexible, and so is foam. So it made for kind of a flimsy statue. So he moves a little bit more than I would like, but that's what I did. And then from there I painted with Drylock. I tinted the Drylock with acrylic paint, and then I sealed the whole thing just to make sure with a product called Kennel Seal, which is I think a latex-based clear sealant. And it's a sealant designed for concrete and like mortar and stuff like that, so I figured it should work perfect for grout. The background is also foam. This part is a expanded like polystyrene bead foam, similar to like, you know what styrofoam is, yeah, it's that. I carved it, I glued on layers to build up depth. I used like a hot tool to melt certain parts, I did all that, and then I grouted it, painted it the same way, sealed it the same way. This piece in the back is the original Zoom Ed one that came with it. I just added a little bit more texture, repainted it to match. This guy is kind of whatever. The big guy in the middle, similar story. I'd used expanding foam to build up the structure, and then I carved it down to get the face and the arm and stuff. Let me flip it around, hold on. So I did expanding foam, and then once it solidified, I carved it away to create a face. For the arm, I only did the arm because this lid sags a ton. It sagged so bad that I couldn't close the doors, and it was really irritating. So I wanted to hide a support, and that's the whole reason for his existence. So he genuinely does hold up the ceiling, because otherwise it sagged too much. And so then I foamed over top of the wooden support beam that I put in there and made it look like an arm. And then this guy I made very similar to that guy. It's foam with like wire joints to get him to pose in the right direction. And then I carved a face out of foam and yeah, grouted, painted, and all that stuff. And I think Matilda approves. Oh, angry. Boop. Okay, there we go. Shout out to my sister who got me, my sister Alyssa, who got me a tripod. So woohoo, for once I have a tripod. Got a lovely view of angry Matilda. I'm gonna get him some, let's do spurworms. Pick out some good ones. That's not how that works. Hold on. Try again. Here you go. I've had him for over a year. I got him as a freshly morphed toadlet. Oop. So he's a big boy. There you go. He very quickly outgrew his siblings, so he's had to live alone almost his entire life because he's too big. He tried to eat his siblings. Did you get it? No, you didn't. There you go. But he's a good angry boy. Y'all ready for part two? Part two. And show you the new guys I got? Let's go. Let's go. May I introduce my scorpion tail geckos? The other one is in here somewhere, but we will find them as we kind of redo this a little bit. So I quick set them up as like a little quarantine setup, but now I've been watching them poop for a few days. It's been actually a week since I got them. So I'm gonna now put them on a more natural substrate and kind of spruce this up a bit, just a little bit, so that they can get comfy while they grow up to be all big. Oh, you're gonna go get another. Alright, so we're going to start by carefully moving some of the other decor items out of the way so that I can take out that paper towel. I don't know where the other gecko is, so I want to be careful. Not on the plant. That one, I don't know which one that is. They are named Boo Berry and Count Chocula. But they look identical, so there's no telling the difference. Get ready. You can see how they get the name scorpion tail gecko. That one's showing it off nicely. there's the other. Hello. I don't mean to disturb you. Okay, that I think we'll have to take it out for the Not mind me. I can see they're pretty chill, all things considered. Pardon. Thank you. I don't want to scoop them up on the paper towel. Okay, and then if move here. Make sure that one's off. Okay. Paper towel out. Next step, sand. Mandy, the voiceover wizard. I just figured out how to voiceover, so while we watch this whole thing unfold, I'm just gonna read some basic info on them. So I'm reading off of reptiletalk.net. The info I'm reading is just like pretty basic stuff, so I'm not really concerned about any of this being horribly wrong. I'm not doing a care guide right now, I'm just reading basic info. So, scientific name, Pristurus carteri, don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, most likely earned their common name from their defensive and territorial behavior. Before resorting to fleeing, many P. carteri take an alert, upright stance with the tail curled over the body. If the threat or concern persists, they wave their tails back and forth, similar to a scorpion's threat display. Males are often lighter in color, ranging from tan to gray, with small broken stripes of orange on their sides, and they have an obvious hemipenal swelling. Females are smaller and slate gray, with small broken stripes of red down their sides. Both sexes have small. Okay, no, that's not just me. It's supposed to say fleshy, I think, but it says sleshy. SLESHY. Alright, nope, I'm not crazy. Sleshy spikes. I don't know. Running down their tails. However, they are more pronounced on males. Distribution from Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, and United Arab Emirates. Average size is 0.08 m, I'm assuming meters, or 0.25 feet, which still doesn't really, they're small. Lifespan, 5 years or more, and difficulty, they list them as intermediate, but I don't know, that's subjective. Oh yeah, also, they can drop their tails, because they're a gecko. They do regenerate their tails, but after they regenerate, just like a leopard gecko, they're never going to look the same again. They don't get those little slushy spikes. They're just kind of more bulbous, they're smooth, and not as cool as the original, but whatever. They are purely insectivores, that's all they eat. Them being a desert species, they're most familiar with getting water from like morning and evening dew. So they would lick that off of, their own bodies because it would accumulate there, or they'll lick it off of nearby plants or rocks or whatever. Another pro tip, actually, first pro tip, I haven't done pro tips, whatever. You will not win a staring contest against a scorpion tail gecko because they are one of those geckos that don't have eyelids, or rather, they've got the fused eyelids that are clear. You know what I mean. They're like a crested gecko. They don't blink. They just stare into nothingness forever and ever. So they lick their eyeballs, and it's really adorable. So don't even try. You will lose a staring contest every time. Believe me, I've tried. Gecko number 1. Oh, almost. If they'll climb up the wall, that would be better. So maybe out of the way. Here. Just. I'm using a really fine natural sand. It's not a calcium sand. because in case they ingest any of it, I don't want them getting impacted because of how small they are. Even a little piece could block something, but I'm also feeding them out of a dish primarily and out of like a feeding cup, so they shouldn't ingest anything, but just to be safe. I feel like I should also clarify, this is their quarantine enclosure slash grow out enclosure. So it's a little 12 by 12 by 12 Exoterra. It is in a separate room from my reptile room, so it is a proper quarantine, and they will remain in the other room for at least a month. If after that month period, you know, things are seeming good, I'm going to just move that little cube back into the reptile room. And then once they outgrow this little thing, then I've got Matilda's old enclosure, which is 24 by 18 by 12. And so I will be doing a video where I set that one up for them. So stay tuned for that. It should be pretty cool. But yeah, don't worry. They are in a separate room. They came from a huge reptile expo, so I'm definitely going to quarantine them. Okay. Then we can put our geckos back in. Never mind the dirty cup, it's just calcium powder. It likes to stick. Here you go. Freedom! Freedom, little guy. Go on. It's like rehousing a tarantula. Go on. There you go. Alright, so really short, lame-o enclosure tour. We've got a little 12 by 12 by 12 cube. We've got halogen heating, UVB. These are a desert species from the Middle East. I forget the exact country, but I will drop their range down in like the captions. We've got a Haworthia, we've got a fox skull, basking area. They love to climb up on the walls, so they will definitely be doing that. And there we go. And I look forward to watching these guys grow up. Well, everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my toad and my geckos. And fun fact, a female scorpion tail gecko can lay an egg every 8 to 10 days. Every 8 to 10, that's insane. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, bye.